evening, Dolphins fans, NFL fans around the world. Welcome to another episode of the Fins Bandwagon. I'm your host, Evan Posner, and with me for the second week, and my co-host, Michael Vogel. How you doing, Michael?
That's right, baby. I am excited to be here on a Tuesday night on the bandwagon, the number one place to hear your positive fin spin.
Yeah, and guess who's wearing number uno? It's the number one show, and I'm waiting for my buddy to write. I'm waiting for one of my employees to write number one because that's what he always does for me. I pay him well to write those things. And Thirsty's gonna like me. I was just commenting on Real Talk Fins Talk. Well, Steve, my buddy Steve, was going cuckoo. Thirsty's coming here to get some relief. I'm telling you.
There you go.
Ender, how you doing, buddy? So we're gonna have some fun tonight. I think, guys, just a couple things. We're gonna talk about Dolphins news. We're going to talk about Combine news because we're not going to wait till Friday. We're not going to go into the details of what's going to happen Friday, but we want to just talk about how it might affect the Dolphins. We're talking about general NFL news and how it connects to the Dolphins, but we're going to have a lot of fun because in the end, it's all about positivity about the Miami Dolphins. Okay, guys? So let's have a good time. So the first thing I want to talk about, because we can get it quickly out of the way, to Byron Jones. We won't miss you.
Oh.
We will not miss you. Are you surprised though that what are your thoughts on that? And why are you surprised they did it now versus waiting until June 1st? Are you trying to free up cap space for because they have another person in mind, or why do you think they did it now versus waiting until June 1st?
I just feel like they're trying to clear stuff now so they can get an idea of who they can bring in. I'm not surprised by it. I mean, I don't, he said he was hurt and he's been hurt, and the Dolphins didn't do him right by that. I don't know. The one game he was out on the sideline running back and forth, but I don't know.
What were your thoughts? What coming out of college, and because you've been following the NFL for a long time, when we signed him? Were you excited about that signing coming out of Dallas?
I think originally I was, because I saw what he had done in Dallas and thought that it may be something that Flores could utilize over there on our defense.
He's still post June, okay.
And I feel like he showed up like the first year, and then the injuries and stuff set in, and he never came back. So I wasn't surprised.
I think at that point they were desperate. I don't know if it was the scheme for Flores,
that's what.
But to fill up a corner, to be the highest paid corner, because if it wasn't for that signing, we would not have had the grief with X, where we kept on having to restructure his contract. He was holding out at training camp. Like that signing had a ramification on our cap and how we were signing, because it affected X, who ended up being a stronger corner for us during Byron Jones' stay. So he actually may have turned X into a better football player, but at the same time, that was expensive to have two shutdown corners.
And so we, then we go back and we talk about Greer as a GM and how does he do, like that to me is one issue. I feel like we end up going after some guys and paying them like these astronomical numbers, and they don't fit the bill, or they don't fit in our offense or defense the way that we want them to. So I would like to be able to not, make these, have to pay these astronomical wages for somebody that we don't have a whole lot coming in the door.
Okay, I completely agree. Honestly, we could do much better. Kohu would be exactly after the pick, but it showed that
he was undrafted, right?
We have to remember that before last season, even if Byron Jones would have been out, had we been healthy across the board, this defense would have been a lot different with Needham and Williams in the lineup. Those two people in the lineup playing with X and Kohu would have made a very big difference. So that we know we have those people. We have Williams. We can have Williams coming back. We can re-sign Needham at a much more reasonable price. So for me, it's
now Kohu was undrafted,
but he was no longer a fit for this team.
Yeah, Kohu was undrafted. Undrafted free agent,
Division II undrafted free agent. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he came
so
from that was a Boyer sign. I will give credit. Boyer found him. Boyer did find him.
That was a pretty good get.
Yeah. Another piece of news directly related to Miami Dolphins, which we can get out of the way now because these are quick. What are your thoughts on Mike Pouncey, who was actually our best center from 2011 to 2018? Like the fact that we got rid of him. But remember what we said? What were they thinking? Like that was the one thing. Like I wasn't such a big fan because he was part of the Richie Incognito mess, and all that. And he went through Philbin, and he went through Gase, and then he was right there at the end of Flores. Well, I think he was there for 1 year with Flores. I don't remember. But what were your thoughts on him wanting to come back and sign a one-day contract and retire as a Dolphin? What were your thoughts
good with it. I played center in high school, so I was partial to Pouncey.
Did you like him as a player?
I
More
did.
than his brother? Do you think who was a better player, him or his brother?
I've probably his brother. His brother played for the Steelers, right?
Steelers, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like maybe his brother was, but I felt like he gave us what we needed.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with the come back and retire.
We gave up a center for no reason. Like that was a big mistake.
Yeah,
because he did not want to be let go. He did not want to be moved on. He was happy to be a Dolphin. Because he gave it for a lineman to play 11 years. I wish him all the best of luck. Sign him. He was great. He was a good Dolphin. I will tell you that. No one really talks about great centers, but I wish him all the best and congratulations on his retirement. I'm happy he wants to retire as a Miami Dolphin. So we're not going to talk about the QB yet, all that, but I just want to talk about the little news. What was your reaction? Did you happen to hear the Rich Eisen little tidbit on his show on Monday yesterday?
Can we?
Okay.
So let me ask you.
No. I'm going to talk about that after, bro. Why do you think? Why? But let me know. This is a general question.
Yeah.
Not about the quarterback. Why do you think people are continuing to do this? I want to get it out of the way because it was part of my who we're going fishing for, because then we're going to talk about who we're really going to. Why do people go after that low hanging fruit? Do you really think it's just talking heads trying to get ratings? Because I think it's an absolute farce. I think it's just
that's what I want to know. I want to know who in the Dolphins organization has screwed over the national media, because it doesn't matter if Dan Marino's your quarterback at this point in time.
Yeah,
2023, they're still going to say, I believe so-and-so is going to go to the Dolphins. Like, it is mind-numbing when you have, season after season after season. Even the first year after Tua, he only played in a handful of games because the coach kept pulling him. And then,
hi, Anthony.
The higher – national media just keeps bringing up stuff.
I'm going to make a simple point, and then you could top on it, because we might as well just talk about it now.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the fun stuff with the draft and free agency.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the quarterback, and I'm going to make it really clear, and then I want to give you the opportunity, because I've been doing it for months. We are in a setup right now where I think there's a plan in place. With Mike McDaniel, when he was first hired, we all talked about in past shows, I didn't want a rookie. But he was hired. He's supposed to be an offensive guy. Okay. He was given the opportunity to. If he didn't want the job, he had to settle for Tua. Whatever. No matter what, I don't care if it was Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I don't care if it was Jason Sanders. I don't care if it was Cecil Carter. The team was winning with Tua.
Right.
He chose to have Tua as his quarterback. Right. If he didn't like Tua and wanted to move on to Bridgewater or pull people out, he would have done that.
Yeah.
They picked Tua. And they're in a window now where he's making $9 million a year.
Yep.
And they want to see what they have with him, injury or not. The guy has won when he needed to win. Did he get injured? Does he have to develop? Sure. But like we've all said, there's only 2 or 3 truly elite quarterbacks in the league. And even the 2 or 3 that are in there haven't won Super Bowls in a decade.
Right.
Because when people talk about Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and all these people, they won 1 Super Bowl a decade ago. I was in my 20s when they won it. God damn it.
Right.
And I'm 40. Come on. I don't want to hear about it. For me, Tua is our quarterback, and I don't want to. You want to know what? Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer are supposed to say that. What are they going to say? Tip their hand and say we don't want Tua? Like, they're not going to come on the national media and say that.
Right.
We have to realize that they're in the window now where if he F's the bed this year, then they'll probably move on. That's why they're probably not going to sign him to his 5th-year option. If they decide to sign him to his 5th-year option, they might risk it because they don't want to do what other people have done. Like today, and I'm going to give you the chance.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones at $40 million after an okay season. Are you kidding me? Derek Carr ended up in New Orleans at $40 million, $35 million, or whatever it is, $100 million guarantee, because they don't believe in Jameis Winston and the Red Rifle Andy Dalton, and they want to have a quarterback. And the guy is literally 63-79 as a starter.
Right.
No offense, Tua has a winning, has like a 65% winning percentage. This guy had over 140 games, has a 40% winning percentage.
Right.
Then Geno Smith had 1 good year. They gave him $35 million. Yep. Tua had a better career year than all of these quarterbacks, and no one with a straight face would say that Geno Smith, Derek Carr, or Daniel Jones would be better in this offense than Mike McDaniel. And if people do believe in Mike McDaniel, who are Dolphin fans or people who believe him in his scheme, if he's saying that Tua is his quarterback, and I said this at the end of last season, I said it during the year, him and Bobby sometimes disagrees with me, but I believe that Greer, McDaniel, and Tua, for the 2 years of his window, are tied to the hip, and they're going to give him that opportunity because of the fact that they believe they can go out and build around him at a low salary and still believe that they can continue to contend. So they'd rather spend the money on other positions, which we're going to talk about. So for me, I want to put it to bed. Tua is our quarterback. Unless Tua has...
For 2023.
Exactly. 2023. He's our quarterback. Unless he has some sort of faltering where something happens in training camp or whatever, he's our quarterback. So why do you think it is that people can't let that go? Lamar Jackson does not fit this team. Mike McDaniel, if Mike McDaniel wanted Tua gone, he'd find a way to get Tua gone.
Right.
If Stephen Ross wanted Tua gone, Tua would be gone.
Right.
They'd be in cap hell. They would not be able to sign anybody else. So take the moment. I did my diatribe, but go and tell me, why do you think people won't let it go? What do you truly believe is the best thing for the Dolphins?
Statistically, he's the best quarterback we've had on this team since Dan Marino. Would you agree or disagree?
100%. And funny, because on Big O's show yesterday, he challenged Poupart on this, and he goes, well, that's not a very high bar, except for Chad Pennington in 2008. Chad Pennington had a great year in 2008, and he took us to the playoffs. But at the same time, he is, because you want to know what? Even when Marino was great in his last year, he went to bed in the playoffs. People have bad games. People have schemes, but they win as a team and they lose as a team. He's one of we can go through the list at the next season. He will still be in the top 10 of quarterbacks people want on their team before the season even starts.
Right. I think he's
the best we had since Marino.
So, but I think the reason that people in general can't let it go is because I think of the durability issues and kind of how, he's a smaller quarterback. So if you end up getting, through the draft through all the different drafts ago, like, Ben Roethlisberger or somebody like that, who is a bigger quarterback, or, everybody clamoring for, what's his name that's with the Chargers?
Herbert.
Herbert, because he's a bigger quarterback. Allen's a bigger quarterback. When you've got, and to me, it's kind of the Tua, and then the kid that's coming out this year from Alabama, who
Bryce Young,
Bryce Young, right? So it's the smaller, it's the smaller quarterback kind of dilemma, that I'll say that people want a bigger, more solid quarterback, but we had that with Tannehill, and I don't know if you knew this, but he played wide receiver before he was a quarterback in college. But
what do you think about Thirsty's comment about Bryce Young? Maybe clarify, Michael. Do Bryce Young fall in your eyes checking in at 5'10"? Like,
honestly, I don't think he's going to. I mean, I completely see. If he's going to fall, I don't think he falls out of the top 10. Just because so many people are, and it's another reason why I feel like
quarterback. Maybe we're desperate.
Yeah, so I do and it's the other reason why Richardson is going to skyrocket up the draft board and go in the first round. It's because quarterbacks are needed, and somebody is going to, one of those teams is going to fall in love with them, and whoever it is that moves up to one is probably going to be the one that takes them.
Hi, Hank. Fins Table Talk, guys. That's our buddy. That's my dad, Hank. He former co-host of the Bandwagon. He's truly on the bandwagon, and he's truly on our side here. I can promise you that. He is sick and tired of this nonsense and this crap as well. But Kennison, why did we lose our first-round pick? Stephen Ross is 82 years old, and he wants to win, and he wants a big splash. And that's why he did it. And it wasn't even him. It was more Bruce Beal. Bruce Beal knew he was about to take over the team, and he's friends with Brady and wanted to make this happen. He just got caught. They're just bad at it. But I want to make it clear to everybody. Josh Allen, I don't care how superstar. Has he won yet? No. Nope. Has Justin Herbert won yet? No. I don't want to hear this nonsense. These quarterbacks, I don't want to hear it. There's only a few superstar quarterbacks in the league, and most teams win on developing. They had a great look at it. Jalen Hurts had a phenomenal year. Good for him. But his defense, and by the way, people would say that the defense got them there more than the offense, and the defense didn't show up in the Super Bowl. Right. You win as a team and you lose as a team.
Yeah.
So for me, the fact of the matter is, and I think no one even commented on it, but I would not. If someone were to tell me tomorrow that they would take Daniel Jones at $40 million, Geno Smith at $35 million, Derek Carr at $40 million, or Tua at $9 million, I'll take Tua at $9 million. Okay,
right.
I don't care.
I just so you commit to him, right? That's pretty much the writing on the wall is that they Ross and the Greer and everybody said that we're sticking with Tua for 2023, right? So you keep him at $9 million for 2023, and if it doesn't work out, then that's why I feel like if you can take a quarterback, and of course everybody knows that my my quarterback in the draft that I would love to be able to get would be Hooker. Then you have another rookie contract on if Tua's injury prone or whatever and all that other stuff.
I'm going to bring up the quarterbacks in the draft after. Bobby gave me a nice little shout out on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that, which I'll tell you about a little later.
Yeah.
About my mock draft, which we'll talk about after. But no, for me, I don't care if they draft any quarterback they want. It's about the fact that they believe this guy gives them the best opportunity to win. And you want to know what? If Tyreek Hill, who's the leader of this team, Jalen Waddle, the defense, if they really had a hard time about this, they'd be dropping little nuggets. And you want to know what? They're not.
Right.
They're not.
Right.
So you want to know what?
Right.
They want, in the end, this team, McDaniel knows that he has a lot to learn from last year. And I don't care. I'm going to make this one last comment, then we're going to move on about the quarterback, and you're going to tell me. No one is more motivated to prove people wrong and who listens more than number one. Yeah. He knows he effed up last year. He knows he has to get rid of that football faster. Yeah. That's the one thing he has to work on. He knows that they're going to build this team again around him because he showed signs of greatness last year building around this team. So if he does it again and he stays healthy and gets rid of the ball, think about it. If he got rid of the ball 1 second earlier on every single one of those throws, the season would have been different for him.
So somebody, I don't remember exactly who it was. It might have been Big O that did a breakdown of how long he held on to the ball each time he got hurt. And it on average,
4.89 seconds.
Yeah. And that's what they said, that he was, everything else was out of his hand and moving on from there.
Yeah, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Like Steve Malloy says on Real Talk Fins Talk, like we always say, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We have great content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's move on from that. So now I want to talk a little bit about the Combine. Then we're going to talk about free agency.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the Combine. Actually, do you want to do the Combine first? Or do you want to do free agency first? What would you prefer? I'll make you.
No, let's do the Combine.
Let's do the Combine.
Yeah.
What were your overall impressions of what you saw at the Combine overall? Who's truly stood out for you, and who stood out for you that you now think will be in the realm of possibility for the Dolphins, meaning that not people who are going to fall, but people that rose that now you thought were going to be third rounders that you think are going to be second rounders.
Right.
Because I believe, and then also talk about the people who we thought were, let's do it two ways. Because I want you to take the time to do this. Tell me who you thought people were second rounders, who the Dolphins had a chance to get to, that now for sure are going to be first rounders, and who really exceed your expectations overall, and who proved their worth that you would now say that they were going to be third rounders to you, fourth rounders that maybe now would drop to the second round, and you'd be happy if they took them at number two.
Well, unfortunately I feel like Jack Campbell. I don't think he's going to be around at 51.
No,
I think he's, I think he did really well in the Combine. He's not the Fins Bandwagon.
They do have regional pro days, don't they? Do regional pro days?
Yeah,
They do
college
pro days. They do college pro days.
They'll do their college pro days too. But he performed well. I don't as far as
Darnell's gone. I don't even have a chance for Darnell. Oh my god! Did you see that catch?
Oh, it was insane. He's a freak, dude. He really is.
He's really a freak. I honestly, if I would trade up, I would trade second and three to get him. Like if I knew he was about to go, I would trade second and three to go get him. Right now.
I think Cody Mock may end up being an end of day one, early day two guy.
I like him.
I do just real quick give a shout out to Andrew Voorhees. Blew out his ACL, I think, during Combine. Yeah. The guard from USC that was pretty ugly. Yeah. One of the guys that I felt like that tested really well was Blake Freeland, the offensive tackle from BYU.
Yeah.
He was somebody that I had thought was going to be, later round that may end up sneaking in that second to third day. Tyler Steen, which is an offensive tackle from Alabama. Those are two guys that may end up going second day 2. Trying to think. Oh, there was for the defensive end. Hold on a second. What was his name? This guy I've been high on. I can't find it now.
Which college?
Florida A&M. Land.
Yeah.
That kid impressed. He really did. I think that he's going to be one of those late round guys or undrafted free agents that you're going to hear about in a couple of years. That
and we're good at finding those.
Yes, he did.
What do you think of when we're talking about tight ends? I know he was also talking a little bit about it. What do you think of? Because I like both of them in the draft,
right?
The combine. I think Tucker Kraft had and Sam. You know who I was surprised by? He was much better than I thought. Laporta. I was really impressed by Sam Laporta also.
Laporta is a guy that I thought would be around round 3.
Yeah,
I mean he's probably going to end up being a second round guy. High third. Another guy, a couple other guys that I had my eye on was Payne Durham, who was in the Senior Bowl. From Purdue. He's another guy that I think could be a steal. Kind of.
What do you think about Luke Musgrave? Anthony's asking.
I'm not a huge Musgrave fan. I think he tested well. He'll probably go day 2. There's so many other tight ends that I fell in love with more than I did him.
I really like Tucker Kraft. If you can,
especially when he said that Oregon State is like the second coming of tight end U, and I was like, I don't think that's right. I don't know very many tight ends, but the kid from Michigan, Luke Schoonmaker. He's another one that from Michigan that could.
It's a nice coming out party. Like I think it's a lot about gossip in the end. I don't think it's really about the kids. I think it's more about the gossip to get people there. But it's nice to see different people get out there. But so right now, do you feel that 51, if based on what McDaniel and Greer saw there overall, what do you think they're leaning toward? Do you think it's still tight end? Because they were very high on the tight ends during.
And that's the thing. I think it's going to come down to tight end and linebacker, and it may, in my opinion, it may come down to whoever is the best available.
Who's the best linebacker? Who would have been your linebacker in the second round behind Campbell?
Hold on a second. I got here. Tua Henry Tua from Alabama. I think
that would fit in really well with Tua.
Right. Yeah. And then the linebacker from Texas, DeMarvion Overshown. Overshown. Yeah, he's another one. So there's definitely guys there. Yazir Abdullah from Louisville. He's another guy that performed pretty well.
But I think that's the two places they have to go. They can't go anywhere else.
Yeah. So I think it'll come down to either tight end or linebacker for that pick at 51. Unless you're saying unless they go up and they fall in love with Washington from Georgia, or
would you trade up? Based on what you saw, would you trade up to get anybody in the 30s in the early second round? Would you trade up?
See, that's so hard because we still have so many needs, and I think that if
doesn't that kill two birds with one stone a little bit with Washington? Didn't he show that he could kill two birds with one stone? Meaning that he could play. He sort of gives you that blocking, that fullback can help you with. He gives you that second offensive tackle who can also. We showed here that he has hands. Like holy crap!
Right.
Quarterback is the highest QB need. Oh my god.
Yeah.
They do. Yes, but they can go get it in the quarterback is a very deep cornerback draft, and also what it showed with Kohu with Needham, you can go get late rounders.
Yeah. So I do feel like if they've fallen in love with Jack Campbell at linebacker, go get him. Or if they've fallen in love with Washington at tight end, go get him. But I do feel like if you miss out on those two guys, like I feel like there's, in that second, third round, there are guys that are going to come out and perform.
Okay. Let's talk about him a little bit because I just want to see, because it's Florida based. What were your overall thoughts? Because I think it was the highest played out topic, and then we'll talk about one quarterback I'm interested in for the Dolphins in the late rounds. Did Anthony Richardson prove anything to you this weekend, or it's just all smoke?
Well, I mean, he tested well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he jumped out of the building, and just with the whip. For me, it's for me, my hang up with Richardson is his inexperience. Like, he's only played one season.
Year, which is my problem.
When it comes to a quarterback, I want a quarterback with a lot more experience coming out than I do feel he's a project. But again, get him to the right team where he can do the Patrick Mahomes thing and sit behind, like Seattle would be a good spot where he can sit behind Geno for a year or two and get coached up by a really good coach who has the ability to fix guys that aren't the best.
But yeah, you want to answer that? Who does Tucker Kraft remind you of?
Yeah, I think Dallas Clark is a good comp for him.
Yeah.
Tucker Kraft.
Laporta is a little on the smaller side, but who do you think Laporta reminds you a little bit like? He's an interesting character because he could play. He's just different. He looks a lot of fun. He looks like a really fun guy.
I was honestly like, I'm not a huge Big Ten guy, but when I put on the tape of Iowa, there were a bunch of guys.
They're always coming out with players. They sneak it out.
That surprised me. Yeah.
Brandon Pettigrew.
That's a good comp.
Yeah. The one quarterback I had him in the draft, but he gave me a shout out, which I would say I would drop in the 7th round because I watched a little bit of the Pac-10.
Yeah.
The fastest thrower in the combine, which ironically I did not pick him because of that, because I like his skill set because he's a dual threat with Dorian Thompson. What do you think of him?
Is that the kid from UCLA?
UCLA, yeah.
Yeah. Again,
I think he's going to be able to 6. I think he moved himself up into the 5th.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely feel like he improved.
He's a low ranked player, but
yeah, he'll improve his.
I think he'd be interesting for this team because I think he might fit the scheme a little bit.
Right. So I feel
because he's got a rocket of an arm.
It's all with who drafts who. I don't know.
He doesn't know, guys. We multitask, hey, guys. One thing about the bandwagon is that the bandwagon is not just filled up with individuals like us. It's filled up with our entire family who have to put up with us.
Yeah, hold on just a second. Let me see if I can help real quick.
Hey, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. He had to go on mute.
That's right. There you go.
Owen Papeo is smallish but fast. What do you know about him?
I don't know much about Owen Papeo. That's the first time I think I've heard that.
Tell us a little bit about him, Bud. Thirsty. But no. So for me overall, I think the combine was a good basis for us to see. We're going to talk a lot more about that during Dolphins talk, draft talk, and on the clock, where we're going to have fun with the 2nd and 3rd rounds. My idea for Friday night. I'll make sure I'm back for that. But because I'm traveling for a couple of days, but no, it'll be a lot of fun. But I think overall, the combine gave the Dolphins a lot to think about and to gnaw because I think a lot of things shifted. I think that's the one thing the combine does is it's your last memory of the player, and so I think a lot of things are going to shift a little bit.
Right, definitely.
So we're going to look them up on your site, guys. You want great Dolphins content? Go to dolphinthirsty.com. I have to give them a little prop there. So let's talk now about, as we head into the 34th of the hour, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Ender, Dolphins Thirsty, Violet, Anthony, Ben. I'm very excited by Malloy. Malloy, you're definitely still off the bandwagon. I expect at least 3 comments from you, or you're officially off the bandwagon. And I'm going to give Thirsty an extra spot on the bus, I'm telling you. So let's talk about free agency.
Yep.
So right now, you're seeing a lot of drop-offs. You're seeing the fact that what's his name? You'll tell me in a second. The KCO lineman that was dropped, their tackle was dropped yesterday. Brown. I think it's Brown, right? Brown, yeah. They also dropped Frank Clark. So you're starting to see a lot of movement. And then Monday starts illegal tampering and all that. Who's sitting out there right now? If you had to give me, and then tell me why, if you had to name me, I'm going to give me your top 5 you can give me your top 5 needs and who would you go sign in free agency right now based on who knows available and at what positions, based knowing what the cap, they can do some restructuring obviously, but right now, what are your 5 positions and do you think it's going to, and where do you think the free agency should be? Because obviously they might go get linebackers in the draft, and they might go get a running back to that. But where would you even re-sign? Even if they're free agents, you can re-sign. Who would be your 5 potential signings for the Dolphins heading into next year?
So who are our free agents?
Mostert, Wilson. You have Wilson. You have
I would definitely try and bring back those 2.
You would bring them back,
yeah, and then try and find a running back in the.
Why are you hurt, Hank? I love you, my dad. You're not hurt. I said your name before. Also, I get confused because I'm usually seeing Finn's Table Talk confuses me, man. Like, what do you want from me? So would you run it back with them? Would you still draft a running back to play around them? Because
I would go with those 2, and
I would go get Texas. I would go get the Texas guy. I would go get Roshan. It was in my mock draft. Behind Robinson, Roshan.
Yes, it's definitely a deep running back class, and I think that we can get one in the later rounds. That
Mostert was so good in this offense. His average yards per carry was nuts.
Right. I feel like we got to get a right tackle. You have a left-handed quarterback. You need somebody to protect his blind side.
Would you go get Brown? Would you overspend on Brown and make him a right tackle? Or would you go who's?
No.
Because there's not much out there that you know about.
McGlinchey's the right tackle. I would go after it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday.
He's definitely.
That's 3, so you're left with 2. But you can go 6.
Well, and then we were talking kickers, right? Like I don't.
What do you get? Yeah. So I put it out to you guys in the comment. Would you? Let me ask you this, and you guys also put in the comments. Would you give up on Jason Sanders to go get Robbie Gould? Would you go get a 40-year-old kicker who has proven something versus Jason Sanders, who's still younger, last year of his contract? Would you drop him to go get Robbie Gould?
So here's my thing.
Is proven that he is a big game kicker.
So do you go after Robbie Gould, who's going to be $3 million? Or do you go after Matt Gay from the Rams, who is arguably the same type of kicker? He's very successful with extra points and very successful with field goals, and he's like $1 million cheaper.
You're right. Chase Brown's also good for the zone block. He's right. Yeah, no sound. See, for me, it's hit or miss, but I would bring in kicking competition no matter what.
Yeah.
But the question is, you need to. There's not. You can either draft one or you can bring it around. But for me, Robbie. Gould
okay. And then the other one that's high on my list is Poyer.
Yeah,
I like Poyer.
I think Poyer is Poyer, I think, is going to be part of the legal tampering Monday morning. That's going to be the top.
I think if you can get him or if you could get Edmonds from Buffalo, cripple them a little bit.
I'd go get Bobby Wagner first. I think Bobby Wagner is just.
Yep. Hey, I
think Edmonds is going to go back. I think they're going to overpay him in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But Buffalo could do whatever they want on defense. The superstar of that defense is Leslie Frazier. And Leslie Frazier is a great DC. And losing him is going to be a big drop. Because, no offense, I think losing Brian Daboll, Ken Dorsey was not the same coordinator.
Right. Yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think that and I think losing Leslie Frazier is going to be huge for them.
I agree. I completely agree. I felt when the Giants hired away Dable, I felt like Josh Allen would be down this year, and he wasn't the same quarterback, and you saw that, and especially like in the Dolphins game in Miami. Like he just I felt like they completely fell apart when they're trying to get the ball and they're trying to get it down. And they ran out, the clock ran out. Yeah. I completely understand Dorsey's frustration with all that.
Miami will draft Poyer. Yeah, you want a fun fact, Thirsty? The Montreal Expos, my hometown team, my poor team, drafted Tom Brady. By the way, do you know, I want to give you guys a fun fact, just we have to bring up Tom Brady all the time. You know that Tom Brady was the last active athlete, former Montreal Expo that retired? Think about that. We left Montreal in 2003, and the only active player that we ever had on our roster was Tom Brady.
That's funny.
Isn't that funny? Tied to baseball a little bit. I want to throw in a little Montreal cut. Yeah, linebacker, I like Sewell. I like Noah Sewell a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I loved him. He was in my mock also. Guys, keep on bringing up my wonderful mock pick. Maybe my mock draft wasn't so bad.
I don't think he's going to be available either. I think
no. I think but I think he might be available. You think he moved up because he's only projected to go in the 4th round.
Oh, Sewell?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking of somebody else. You're right. I think he'll be around third.
I like him a lot.
Yep.
And what do you? There was a comment there above. We can go back because I like to give people up. And Anthony, if you want to put it up, Bobby, what do you think of Jake Moody and Noah Ruggles? Tell me a little bit about them. Do you know anything about them?
I don't know much about them. I wish that I had the time.
No, I threw up when they moved to Washington. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I wish happening. I wish I got paid to do this on a daily basis, so I can just sit here and watch all the draft picks. But unfortunately, I got to kind of hit and miss with the guys.
We're gonna have great guys. We're gonna have the best. If you want draft content, I think it's the best compliment I ever gave Bobby and Brett. Was the fact that I basically became so enthralled with the NFL on top of the Dolphin stuff just by the draft coverage, and I was like, I got pulled into it, and they taught me so much about
it. It's like my second Christmas draft talk, combine, all that stuff.
By the way, I'll put it to you this way: it's not fun to be there. I'll put it to you that way. I've been to a hockey draft. I've been to drafts for stuff, and honestly, it is mind-numbing when you're standing there waiting for picks. It's like
just sitting there waiting.
It's fun when you're engaging and you're talking about it and you're building up. If you're the announcers, but if you're standing there, like, what are you doing? Unless you're drunk. We're going to drop the link next week. I promise.
Which we're probably going to have a draft spectacular, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a phenomenal. We might go 24/7. We might go 24/7 on this thing. You never know. So for me, overall, I think at corner, I think they can get one in the draft unless there's someone out there. I can't remember in free agency. I think we might get a sneaky one there. Like, I don't know. I think we need to lean more. I'd be happy with Kohu and Needham based on this zone. I would mix them up a little bit. Because I think if you bring back Trill Williams, I'd focus more on safety, bring in a Poyer, and then readjust Brandon Jones to play a mixed role or more like the Eric Rowe, more towards the linebacker role. And then I would definitely go linebacker, whether it's a Bobby Wagner. I think he's going to cost you a lot less than Tremaine Edmonds. And then for me on offense, you could go pick up another lineman, and I'd be McGlinchey definitely. Yeah. And like I said, I would run it back with Mostert and Wilson. But the only way I think they're going to succeed is truly if they get a blocking tight end. So if they honestly, the only other place I would go is if it's not going to work out where they can get. If they can't pick up Laporta or Tucker Kraft or Donnell Washington in the second or third round, then I would try and go after a Hunter. Is it Hunter Hurst or the guy in Cincinnati? I go find a blocking tight end. I'd go get a blocking tight end. I would pay $7. I would pay $10. I'd pay Hayden Hurst the same thing you paid Gesicki if you can't get these guys in the draft. If you think that the linebacker Jack Campbell is more valuable to you at linebacker because you want to give Fangio his pick. Bye, Dad. See you later, guy. No, I would definitely lean towards there. For me overall, and then for me, I on free agency, backup quarterback. The only thing I want is a quarterback who plays in the exact same scheme as Tua. Yeah. Because one thing Mike McDaniel wants to do is he's going to build it around Tua again. Yep. He's going to build it around that scheme, and I think they're going to spend most of the offseason and OTAs training Skylar Thompson to play in that scheme and adjust and get rid of the ball faster, make quicker decisions. I think it was too fast for him. You need an anticipatory type of backup. Yeah. So I just go. I don't care who it is. Go find one. I will trust anyone you go get if you feel it fits the scheme. That's where they need to go. What do you think of Foster Moreau as a player?
I don't know. That's the first time I've heard that name.
Anthony, you'll share more about him next week.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about him, but I don't know enough about him. But I love Montreal. Yeah, Montreal's the best. But overall, I think free agent. The one thing that's going to be fun is I think we're going to have is to know that the Dolphins are going to be active next week. I know it. There's no way that Chris Grier is going to walk away without signing a starter. And I think one thing they're going to do is they're going to sign two of his friends. Poyer. They're going to go after guys in Alabama in the draft. They're going to surround people. I think Tua should be involved. I think Fangio should be. Get the people.
Yeah.
Get the team involved. Get the players involved. It shouldn't just be Chris Grier. I would give it a shot. Give Mike McDaniel his 2 or 3 guys that he feels he needs. Give him McGlinchey. Give him back his running backs. Bring back Craycraft. Or bring back Sherfield. And then on defense, give Vic Fangio something because I don't think it's going to cost a lot to get Wagner, and I think Poyer is going to be reasonable. But I would pay Poyer because imagine a backfield with Poyer, Jones, and Holland and Howard and Kohu and Needham and Williams. It's going to be scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, I think the first thing they're going to do is they're going to give Tyreek a lot of his money. Because Tyreek I think they're going to front load his money. That's 100% what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And then Gesicki and Smythe and those guys, I think, are going to move on, and we'll see from there. Guys, we're coming up to the 45th of the hour. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're having a lot of fun. The bandwagon's all about fun. And we're all about just spreading Dolphins content, spreading Dolphins love. It's a lot of fun because you want to know what? There's so much polarizing content. It really is. But you want to know what? I guess it's no news is bad news. That's the one thing I will say. We picked the best time to really grow this channel. Yeah. Because I can tell you a year from now, they were not talking about the Dolphins the way they talk about us now.
Right.
And and you want to know what? Yeah. Even if they're ripping us, I don't care.
It's still so what? Right. It's still
you know? Yeah. And you want to know what? The one thing I will say that we can win with the team we have now. So all we have to do is add pieces, right? We were competitive with all teams that we faced. Our biggest nemesis last year was Buffalo, and we showed that even if we could have got our own way, and we had to play a third stringer.
Yep.
He wrote here, Evan, I honestly believe he's the best right tackle for agency. He's an elite run blocker, pass defense. Yeah. So I stay away from McGlinchey. But a decent pass blocker. So, I would sign him. He'll fit McDaniel's scheme like a glove, honestly, 100%. Also, you want to know what? You need to get veteran. You can't go. I personally think you can't go rookies on this offensive line because I believe Butch Barry. The one thing you have to remember, and I want we could talk a little bit about this. Vic Fangio's old school. Butch Barry's old school. These people you're bringing in these key you need veterans, you need leaders. You don't need development. You leave the development to Mike McDaniel and Wes Welker and the young coaches Frank Smith. In the offensive line, in the defensive backfield of linebacker, you need veterans, no-nonsense players, and you need players who have played in big games before, and that's why you need a Bobby Wagner. That's why you need a Mike McGlinchey. That you need people. That's why you need a left tackle like Brown. You need players who have done something because if there's no way that Butch Barry is going to come out and develop. Maybe Frank Smith is going to do that a little bit more, but to solidify that, that was one of the problems Fangio had in Denver. That's where Butch Barry's had in other places. They don't work well with young players. So you need to give them the veterans in those pieces because they're not going to develop the Eichenbergs and the Jacksons. They're going to do that in the background. They're not going to develop them as starters. And so I disagree with what Steve Malloy said on Real Talk Fins Talk, how he believes, and I completely disagreed with it, and maybe give your take, that you don't need to sign that many people on defense because if Vic Fangio is as good as he says he is, then he let him develop players. This team is not 2018 anymore. It's not 2019 anymore. It's 2023 with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Bradley Chubb, developing Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, Emmanuel Ogbah, Jalen Phillips, Xavier Howard, like Javon Holland. These people are great players, and you need to continue to build it up. In order to win, you need to fill in the holes with veterans, not rookies, unless the person is a standout draft pick who can start and fit into that scheme immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I would put in as many free agents as you can get in there until we learn how to win consistently.
Yeah,
right, and then you can bring in,
we have a lot of projects.
Yeah. I mean, right. So let's get some more free agent O linemen and get this thing figured out. And then once you're rolling, then that's where you develop the guys behind an experienced offensive line. You can't just bring in 5
in the end,
rookies and think that you're going to gel.
Because in the end, if you remember this, in the end, what ended up killing Joe Burrow was that offensive line.
Yeah.
Everyone bragged how good they were, but in the end, the rookies and the backups ended up crushing them.
Right.
You can bring back the Brandon Shells. You have Robert Jones. You want to keep Eichenberg and Jackson as backups, fine. Solidify that line. And even the line wasn't terrible last year. They didn't give up that many pressures. In the end, you still need to develop. There's nothing wrong with signing veterans. There's nothing wrong with signing a veteran on the offensive line or on the D line. Those are two very important places to fill your holes and fill your gaps.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't leave those to bear. So we're coming up to the 50th of the hour. I'm a lot of content for tonight, but do you have any final words? Do you have anything you want to talk about before we
I just
say goodnight to the fans out there?
I'm enjoying doing the show, man. It's fun to when you have something like this that you can kind of let the stresses of the day go
for
by.
Sure. I had the worst day, and this is the best thing. Like I always tell
Dolphins talk. Yeah.
Well, this is like I always tell this to Bobby. I tell this to everybody on the network. This is therapy. And I will never be thankful enough to Bobby to like my brother out there,
right.
And to you, and to Brett, and to Brett, and to Dave, and to Steve, and to Dolphins Thirsty, and to Josh Wingate, and Josh Kimball, and Mike Brown, and Lewis, and the guys on No Holds Bar,
right.
And Anthony, my other brother, from it just and Hank, and honestly, it's a fun. You need this. You need that. You need to gel. You need to have fun. Right. You have to be in there. Cap, you're doing wrestling talk right now with Sean from the Big O Show. I'll be right back. Oh, come on, Cap. Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline last night was crazy. Yes, it was. Yeah, we're going to talk about No Holds Bar tomorrow. Yes, but it was so well planned because we all know I'm a Montrealer. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, main event, Usos, WrestleMania night 1. So
just say something real quick to Anthony because he said apparently he's not a McGlinchey fan. I like McGlinchey because he's a Notre Dame guy. Plus, he's at San Francisco where McDaniels was, and that's why I prefer him. If they don't get him, going with Jawan Taylor from Jacksonville or somebody like that, that's fine. I'm just saying that we need a solidified.
I like the guard from also, and I also like the guard from Tennessee that was released. I told them where they threw his trash on the board. So.
Yeah. Lewan, Taylor Lewan.
Taylor Lewan, exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's I'm not the GM, which is probably a good thing. But
I want to remind people. People can criticize Chris Greer as much as they want. He's not the only one making the call. He has two very smart football executives who could be GMs for any other football team in Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie. Like these are former in Kansas City and in LA and now or in Oakland and now these are capable people. They're not dummies. So in the end, they're going to do what's best for this team. They're not looking to stay mediocre. They're looking to grow and they're looking to develop in a certain way. And honestly, I don't think they're doing it the wrong way. Have they had some misses? Sure. Right. So does every single team. There's only one winner every year. And if they believe that they're going to do that, and trust me, if they feel, I think they're going to bring in a capable backup. They're not dumb. Yeah. They're going to bring in a capable backup who has started before. They're not going to bring it back, but they're not also going to bring in a backup who is also not as fragile as Tua. They're going to bring in someone who could take a hit. So whether it's a Gardner Minshew, whether it's a Taylor Heineke, whether they need a big bruiser, they need someone. Right. They need a bruiser. They need someone who's going to take a hit and get right back up.
Right. Yeah.
And also, just remember, I want to remind people one thing. Quickly to circle back about Tua. He's going to be wearing a very different helmet. He's going to be wearing the Kenny Pickett helmet next year. Like he's going to have more protection, and he's going to know that he. Will you go ahead?
Yeah. So why aren't we talking about Kenny Pickett and his 2 concussions?
Exactly.
Why are his 2 concussions less important than Tua's 2 concussions?
Exactly. No one's just in the end. An injury is an injury, and all he has to do is learn how to get rid of the football. And also, if people don't think that Mike McDaniel is going to, and Darrell Bevell, who chose, think about it, Darrell Bevell had every opportunity to be an OC. Eric Bieniemy only got the commander's job because Darrell Bevell didn't want to interview for it. He didn't want to interview for the Jets one either. Yeah. He believes in Tua, and between him and Mike McDaniel, you don't think that they listen? They know that this is the one thing they have to fix. And you don't think a former head coach, a great OC, a guy who's a quarterback coach, and a guy who knows that trust me, Mike McDaniel craps the pen again this year. He may not be the head coach the year after.
Right.
He's sticking himself on this. So I'm the hardest Mike McDaniel critic anywhere on this network. Yeah. I've been the hardest person on him. I am. So for me, if he believes in this guy and I'm willing to give him a second chance, so should everybody else.
Yeah. So right before we leave, there's one more guy, one more offensive lineman that I have a draft crush on.
Who's that?
And that is where's he at? The center from Minnesota, John Michael Schmitz.
Yeah.
Dude, when he got down in his stance and bent over, like his shoulders were like
from Where's front he ranked? To back. Where's he ranked?
He's like the number 1 center. I'm not sure he's going to be around at 51, but if he were, that I would fall in love with that in a heartbeat. Because this dude, anytime you can get me an offensive lineman that doubles as a wrestler.
Yeah. Do you want to set? Let me ask you: would you rather a center or a left guard in free agency or draft? Meaning that, do you want to leave Williams or do you want to move Williams?
Well, if the only person that I would
John Michael Schmidt,
and if you did that, then you can move you can move Connor.
Yeah. No, for me,
but yeah,
we have to have faith. You know what? Last year there were hit and misses. I want to remind everybody, this team, we still believe in this team. I never missed a minute of a game. I've never remember a year with this many injuries. And it wasn't just Tua. It was Byron Jones. It was Nick Needham. It was Trill Williams. It was Liam Eichenberg. It was Austin Jackson. It was Brandon Shell. It was Teron Armstead. Even Tyreek Hill got injured. Even Jalen Waddle's head wasn't totally in it. Like Ethan Carter, there were so many injuries throughout the year. Emmanuel Ogbah, there was so much crap going on there. We have to remember that this is a 53-man roster. There's so many players on this team. One player does not define it. One player does not define it. They win as a team, they lose as a team. And like Bobby said, and I'll preach again this year, the number one signing for me for entire defense, no matter who they sign, is Vic Fangio. You have a second head coach who at the end of the year is going to be at the end of a game or at the end of a half. You don't think Mike McDaniel is going to be talking to Vic Fangio all the time? He didn't have a relationship with Josh Boyer. In the end, he chose to go with Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio wanted to come here. He's here for the next 4 years. You don't think they're trying to win together? Vic Fangio's not coming here to lose.
Right. Exactly.
So in the end, be happy to be a Dolphins fan. I have never been so happy to be a Dolphins fan because I have my brother to my right and Michael Vogel. I get to see him twice a week. Bobby hides himself, doesn't want to spend too much time with me, only once a week. Vogel's the only one who's willing to put up with me twice a week.
Heck yeah,
I really appreciate it. So guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We have wonderful content. I never know what's happening on this week because we're in the off season. I'm sure there's fast break tomorrow night with Alex Chiska and his buddies. And then you have No Holds Bar where they're going to talk about what happened last night on Raw and start planning on the road to WrestleMania. Then on Thursday night, I don't know if Huddle Up and Wait is back or not. I am not exactly sure. But don't forget to tune in Friday night where we have pretty much half of the Dolphins Talk Network celebrities on Dolphins Talk, Draft Talk, and On the Clock. Then don't forget, you're going to see my father Hank and Bobby on Fins Talk Today on Saturday. Then you have Once Upon a Time on Sunday. Then Monday, it's Christmas come early. We have Tampering Day where we get to predict. So you're going to have the Beer and Sports Network. And then I'm not sure when 10th Street is going to be on. It might be on Sunday night, Monday night. They get me all confused. But guys, that's a great show. And then we get to be back on with Real Talk, Fins Talk happening before us, where we get to talk about what happened on Monday and what's going to happen on free agency. And we're going to have all our predictions based on what we're learning on Monday. So guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Michael, thank you again. It's really a pleasure. Let's keep on doing this until September.
Man.
It's
I'm loving it,
guys. JM, we have to say hi to John. John, welcome to the bandwagon just a minute ago. But don't worry, you got plenty of room. We still have Steve Lloyd kicked off a little bit. Ender, you're great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Steve, appreciate the shout out, Ender.
How about this, Steve? We could talk about it next week. If you want, we might even combine the shows. If you want your full hour, we can go 7:30 to 9. You, me, Thirsty, and Michael. We can butt heads for an hour and a half. Let's just do it. And maybe we'll get Bobby to join us as well. We can have some fun because I think it'll be fun to do projection of free agency, and we can see what happens there. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and always fins up, guys.
That's right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.